All right. This time I think I figured out the technical difficulties. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties before. Tonight we're going to make a delicious pork tenderloin. Now, a lot of people are sort of have mixed feelings about pork tenderloin. To me, I think it's a secret, hidden, sort of delicious, easy dinner. So what we'll get started with is you need a sheet pan and you need to line it with foil because we're going to cook veggies at the same time. And that's sort of the trick to it. So you can kind of do both at the same time and create a one-pan meal, super easy cleanup, the whole 9 yards. So what we'll do is get our veggies. I like this vegetable medley with carrots, broccoli, and cauliflower. Good fiber, a little bit of protein in there. Really healthy stuff, good vitamins, minerals. Just dump that onto a pan and still out of olive oil. So what I'll have is this delicious avocado oil, which is fine. It's nothing crazy. You can use any kind of neutral or really any cooking oil you really want, just as long as it's not too much, just a little bit. And then we like the mesquite rub, Grill Mates. The stuff is good. Just have a healthy dosage of that on there. Sort of with the avocado oil or the olive oil that you use, it almost kind of creates a barbecue sauce mix when you sort of mix it all together, and it kind of tastes like barbecue, which is great because it doesn't have the sweetness or like the high sugar content or all of the other stuff of putting a heavy sauce on something, it's a little bit lighter. It's a dry rub. Well, not exactly a dry rub because we use oil, but it's good enough, Now I wash my hands, and then we'll get the pork tenderloin out of the fridge. Now I had this frozen for a week or so, so I think it should still be good. Pork tenderloin, when you put it in the freezer, as long as it is frozen, and then you use it pretty soon after you de-thaw it. Let's see how good this is. If the pork tenderloin's not good, oh man, the pork tenderloin's still frozen. So we're gonna make an adjustment, and we are gonna go and we're gonna make chicken. Because sometimes when you're making meals and you're looking at creating meals, you gotta have backup plans. So chicken, now I get this thinly sliced chicken breast, which to me is super easy to cook. This stuff takes literally no time at all to cook. It just takes a little bit of prep time. It takes more prep time than it does cook time. And that's because of how thin the chicken breast is. So what we'll do is, now the oven is preheating already, and I've got it set to 425, which is the perfect roasting temperature for the veggies. And gosh, that was difficult to open, much more difficult than I'd like. And so we drain the excess fluid out of the chicken. There's typically some water content that's in there that you want to get rid of. And then what I do is I make sure that this opens up, and I'll put these into my bowl. I have a bowl that I'm propping the phone up against right now. I know it's not necessarily great to film with a phone, but it's all I got, so I'm going to use it. And what I like to do with my chicken is I wash it because I like sanitary chicken. I don't know. It is just a thing I started doing, and ever since I started it, I haven't been able to stop. Now, when you're dealing with raw meat, and this is just a good rule of thumb with any raw meat, regardless of what it is, you want to make sure you're washing your hands, or as my mom would call it, wash your filthy paws. And that's because, meat and, a lot of raw stuff carries bacteria, carries things that we don't want to have. And so we need to wash our hands constantly. I mean, it's sometimes a pain, but them's the breaks. Now you heard our oven beep, and what we'll do is we'll put the veggies in there, and these will take 17 minutes. Now, ovens vary in temperature, and you don't necessarily have to, go for that long. I like mine a little crispier. On the crispier side, you can, adjust the temperature if you want. You can really do anything. Now, when you wash the chicken, this is really key, use cold water. You don't want your water to be warm. You want your water as cold as possible. And you can just sort of rinse it in this water mix. And what we'll do is after it gets rinsed, we'll drain the water. And then with our one good hand, because we have a hand that is not in the water and chicken and everything like that, because we have to hold the chicken in the bucket for it to drain, is we'll grab a good amount of paper towels. And what we'll do is we'll take the paper towels and we'll wrap the chicken in there. And we got to make sure, I might need a few more paper towels. And what that paper towel does is dry off the chicken a little bit, because don't want the water when we saute these. Now, I use a non-stick pan to cook the chicken, and that seems to work really, really well to cook the chicken, especially since it doesn't take any time really at all to cook thinly sliced chicken breast. Let's see, might use a little bit more. Just go through one more time. Just really try to dry it off. Now, water and oil, as any food chef, scientist person would know, water and oil do not mix well. They cause a lot of popping and can hurt you. You can get oil all over yourself. It can even cause fire to some degree if the oil is hot enough. And it's dangerous. Now, what I like to do for the chicken, because I am a basic Betty, I don't necessarily like anything crazy. So honestly, a very similar mixture to what we had for the veggies. So go in with our avocado oil, give it a good healthy amount. And what we'll do is then I've got the mesquite rub that we used, the mesquite rub, and we'll dump a good amount. I go straight to the spoon side because I want to get a really healthy portion of spices in there. Yeah. We'll make sure that we're coating our chicken. I might have to get some more mesquite rub next time I'm at the store. Dang, went through that pretty quick. And then what I like, and I found this is good stuff, it's spicy steak. And, just because it says steak does not necessarily mean that you have to use it on steak. So I just do a good sprinkling of that in there. Make it spicy. As if the mesquite rub wasn't a little spicy enough, I like flavor. Because flavor, when you're on a diet, doesn't, when a lot of people say when you're on a diet, you have to, by the way, I'm mixing it around because you want the chicken to be fully coated. I think when people think that, you go on a diet, you have to eat salad and, make sure that, it's this bland, flavorless stuff. And it's just not true. I've sort of gone back on a lot of my diet. I hit a plateau and I'm trying to break through that plateau. But just doing this type of thing with the yogurt and the turkey sandwiches and doing that and mixing in, healthy soups and other good sort of recipes that I'll probably get into at future dates. I lost 10 pounds in like 2 or 3 months. Like it was remarkable. I was combining it with a good amount of exercise, and I'm getting back into the gym again after I sprained my ankle. And it's just making a conscious effort, and it doesn't have to be, I'm in the gym for hours and hours and hours on end. It can be just, 2 or 3 times a week, whenever you have time, go in for 30 to 45 minutes, get your steps in during the rest of the week, and make sure that your diet follows a balance. I like to call this rule the preheating the pan, by the way, while I talk. Just getting it hot. I'll probably skip on, maybe I'll put a smidge of avocado and oil in the pan just for cooking purposes. But back to what I was saying. If you have a diet and you don't need to be 100% perfect. You don't need to be 100% perfect all the time. You can be, as long as you're between 80 to 90, 95% good with your diet, and it doesn't burn out, and you're consistent with it over a continuous period of time, it'll work. And it'll work in ways that you may not necessarily see. And I saw that because even though I hit my plateau, I used to be stage 1 hypertensive, and with my diet and with my weight loss and with just changing things, all my blood work and all of my what's it called? Oh man. When I was getting my blood pressure measured with my doctor, which I keep just sort of tabs of, it dropped down to normal levels, and all of my functions, my bodily functions, were normal. And even though I'm overweight, I don't like BMI, but if we're using BMI, I'm technically on the obese side or, overweight side of things. And it's something that I've struggled with, and I can get into another video and we can talk about eating disorders or, struggles with self-image, which I've personally gone through. And the biggest number one thing is if you're trying to lose weight, and you could go on Wegovy and you could go on these weight loss meds, but the biggest thing is what's going to help you create healthy habits that you stick to over a long period of time. And what works for me is the 80-90 rule. As long as I'm good 80 to 90% of the time, not going and crazy amounts of sugar all the time. I can still have a root beer every once in a while. I don't drink alcohol. But as long as I'm, I can have a little small handful of candy every now and then. I can enjoy time with my nieces and nephews. I can sort of just be a functioning human being, but I can take care of myself at the same time. And ultimately, a diet isn't necessarily always about losing weight. It's about taking care of yourself and practicing and making a conscious effort in self-care, which is a huge mental hurdle as well as a physical hurdle. And so it's got to be intentional, and you can't, if you're doing it, you have to implement it in a way that allows you to not get burnt out so quickly. Because so many people will think to make these radical changes in their life and they don't stick to it. But to lose a huge amount of weight or any amount of weight, it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes consistency. And people can say, how did you hit a plateau when you're playing hockey 2 to 3 times a week? You're going to the gym. I don't know. I think maybe it's because my body got used to it, and I don't think I was pushing myself as hard as I wanted to or needed to in the gym. I don't know if I was getting enough steps. There's a lot of things that I probably, even though I was healthy or healthier, I probably didn't do enough to drop the number on the scale. But at the same time, I feel the best that I've ever felt probably since I was a kid, and that's a long time ago. So certainly I'm proud of myself for doing that, and you have to give yourself credit for when you make those changes and you're able to be consistent with it. But also just recognize that, it's not going to happen overnight. and that it will take a long period of time, and you will have to be consistent with it. And patient. Man, I'm repeating myself a lot. So now I'm just laying the chicken in here. I'm gonna grab some tongs after I wash my hands. These ones seem to be a little bit bigger than normal, so I may not be able to get all my chickens in a row here. I'm gonna try to make as much room as I possibly can. Push these things to the outside of the pan. The pan's pretty hot, but I might jack up the temperature just a little bit. Might move the temperature up. It's all sauced and bossed. It's all ready to go. And because it's thin, you can actually crowd the pan okay. You know, I don't necessarily recommend crowding the pan with any other types of meat. Crowding is not necessarily a good thing for cooking. But when the chicken is so thin and it cooks so quickly, and you're not at risk of undercooking it because it's such a thin piece of meat, you can take liberties with it, and you don't have to be perfect. We got 7 minutes left on the veggies. Man, this chicken's already getting done. I'll keep you around just to, have some conversation. I don't necessarily need to pause and restart this. I can show you what these chickens look like. They look delicious. Let me flip the camera around. Wasn't able to flip the camera, but I can just do this. It's no problem. Look at that. It's cooking. It's easy. You can already see the color of the cooking on the other side. Almost like frying in this oil, but I didn't even put that much oil in there. I put a little bit less than a tablespoon of oil in there. And it just cooks. It's all good. All right, put you down, grab the tongs. What I like to do, and what you can do, is you can grab a plate for the chicken. I like to eat the veggies out of a bowl. I'll probably set the chicken on the plate first. Flipped. These chickens are ready to be flipped. And you don't want to overcook them. It's really easy to actually overcook the chicken, of all things. If you do it just right, it becomes really tender and super delicious. You get this beautiful crust. Well, not really a crust or sear because it's just not hot enough and cooks too fast. But it is deliciously tender chicken. Super easy to cook. I'm not kidding how easy to cook. I mean, how fast did that cook? I literally said when I put those things in the pan, we had 7 minutes left. It's 3 minutes later. There's 4 minutes left on the veggies, and the chicken is just about done. I mean, I'm literally just gonna finish up, leaving these in here for a little bit. There's still a little bit, some pieces that are a little raw, but I'm gonna just maybe check up the temperature a little bit, put up the temperature. And they're cooking. I mean, this is just the easiest dinner, Now, I'm not necessarily saying that, you have to go and do this, but part of what makes my diet and my exercise routine and everything so sustainable, what I've been able to do, is the fact that I'm not trying to make it super complicated. The pork would have been a one-pan meal. The pan, it's a non-stick pan. It's easy to clean. Don't necessarily need to do anything crazy with it. Yeah, these are done. All right, turn that off. Let it sit for a second. See, yeah, just let it sit in the pan for a second. The spices and everything. It's just not too expensive. It's easy to cook. This is totally going to take as much time as it took for the oven to preheat and to season everything up. So probably less than 20 minutes total. Tempted to go look at the macros and everything on the chicken. It's really simple. Actually, I got an unopened one in the freezer. So the macros are incredible. So serving size is 3 ounces. It's kind of small, but there's 110 calories per serving, and 24 grams of protein. There's 1 gram of fat. So if you're asking me, you know, total just in terms of macros and everything, this whole entire meal is maybe 500 calories. By the time you eat a majority of the chicken, I like to eat 2 or 3 pieces and then save the 2 for later. But I mean, if you eat the whole entire container, you know, the entire container says the weight on the side it's a pound. So it's a pound of meat. There's what? How many ounces are in a pound? 12, 16, something like that. So you're getting about, yeah, there's 5 pieces of chicken, and yeah. So if each chicken has 24 grams of protein, basically, you're talking, you know, yeah, it's, you know, 500 calories, thereabouts, 600 calories for the whole thing, and you're getting, you know, a lot of protein. So can't complain really at all. And pork tenderloin is similar macros, very lean meat. You know, there's also some cuts of steak that I like to use. Maybe I'll show videos of that. I'm sure that you can see by my profile picture that I've cooked steak before. That is a really lean cut of steak. I think it's a couple medallions, and it's the top, I think it's some sort of loin meat. You have to reverse sear it or sous vide it and marinate it a good amount beforehand. There's our veg, so we'll turn the timer off and turn the oven off. So chicken is ready, and the veg is ready too. And pull this out. And what I love about aluminum foil is that it just like cools, heats very quickly. So we'll show the veg real quick. Show the veg. So this is the chicken. It's beautiful. It's just great chicken. There's no other words for it. You could use a lot of other words that people don't like moist or succulent or whatever, but I'm not gonna try to trigger you here. And then you just got a nice roasted veggies, you know? I eat the whole thing. I eat a whole bag. And that's mostly just because I have a preference for getting fiber in my diet and try to get, you know, vitamins, minerals, and not just overload on protein, which, you know, if a lot of people think that when they work out or anything like that, you know, it's important to get protein. Yeah, you can get protein. You can get a lot of protein in your diet, but you can do it in ways where you're not just cranking back shakes. And so, like, I'm just trying to think about my day. Between the turkey sandwich, the yogurt pudding that I have in the morning, one singular 30-gram protein shake, and this dinner that I've created for myself, you're looking at around 2,000 calories for the whole thing, thereabouts. But it ends up being at least 180, 200 grams of protein just from that. It's like, and it's not even marketed necessarily except for the oats. The oats are the only thing that are in the chia seed pudding that are protein oriented. It's just, you know, you're just trying to make things that are delicious, and you're just trying to make things that work for your budget, and you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to go for too much. And so I'll probably have 3 chicken breasts now. I'm pretty hungry. I had a good recovery session today at the gym. I have a routine for that. I don't know if you guys are interested in what I do at the gym. And so you can't even see the veg. And it looks like big pieces of chicken. But these chicken pieces, let me grab the tongs real quick. Let me show you this. Let me just show you how thin. This is a thicker piece and it's thin. Cooks in no time, and that's a good piece of chicken right there. Well, that's it for this one. I know it was a little long, but it's dinner, and it's served, and it's delicious. You know, I do this at least a couple of nights a week, and it's easy to maintain, and it keeps me full, and it's got all the things you need. Now, if you wanted to, and I have it on hand just because I think it's delicious, if you wanted to add more grains or anything like that, I highly recommend the Ready Rice by Uncle Ben's. And this is pretty calorie dense. It has 9 grams of protein per pouch and 2 grams of fiber. You can sort of divvy it up if you want to do meal prep or something like that. But that is a good sort of grain source. I mean, you can literally meal prep for lunches if you wanted to. I just eat it because I'm sort of a big bag when it comes to food. But luckily it's not super high calorie, so it doesn't hurt me in the long run. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I know this video was a little long. Once again, look at that chicken. It's chicken.